Hi everyone, Connor here from Bridge, here today to talk about the rising value of human networks in an AI age. An AI age made probably most famous by Sam Altman, OpenAI. In the last 18 months, everything has changed in terms of people's perception, people's adoption, people's understanding of the potential of AI. And captured here in some research by McKinsey, where they are effectively looking at an AI age, at what point will our work become more automated. And they're showing within the next few years, particularly in West, for people often in this audience, people who are working in high-paid jobs and high-paid economies, knowledge workers, professionals, up to 50% of their time spent on work today will be automated by 2030. In fact, earlier than that. This is the optimistic scenario, but it makes more sense because this is where the biggest bang for buck for people who are looking to invest in this area is, where they can actually save the most money, so it'll probably have the fastest adoption. So in this AI age, we're going to have more time. AI is going to give us a lot more time, and with our investor hats on, we should need to be thinking, where should we be investing today in terms of what skills and what future kind of capabilities, so that we can be competitive in the future and continue to have successful careers. Sam Altman, who's no better view on the whole potential and disruption of this space, gave this great quote when he left YC. He talked about, as capital and advice get more commoditized, it's your network that becomes a durable advantage. So cash and advice are becoming, and knowledge are getting more commoditized. Network is where you can have a durable advantage as a human. And that's something that we ask ourselves every day at Bridge. I want to share 2 or 3 tactics that we've seen working in the real world already, some of the limitations, and then showing you how technology can come in on top of that to leverage those lessons to give you an advantage in your day-to-day job. So the first observation is move. So actually one of the most simplest, powerful things you can do today to increase the relationships and the networks that underpin your whole network is basically to move. And by move, I mean move city. So researchers at Santa Fe Institute here, Jeffrey West, they found that when we move to a city that's basically twice as large as where we are today, we become on average 15% more wealthy, more productive, more creative. Why is this? Emerging behavior of increased social interactions and social networking, human interactions and social networking. You effectively bump into people more at a lower cost. You walk out your door, you bump into people you know, you bump into people they know, and then that serendipity effectively unlocks new opportunities, new insights, and new information at a much lower cost. You don't need to get in a plane and fly somewhere. You don't need to schedule time and think about it. You just bump into these people and you learn about opportunities. You get feedback on your ideas, or you hear about other ideas in a very low cost way. Now, unfortunately, moving to a city is not something everyone can do. It's a very privileged thing to do. And even if you do move city, you can only be in one city at a time. So while I'm here in Berlin, I can't bump into my network in London or in New York. And I've lived in those cities, and my networks are amazing in those cities, and I've benefited from that, but I can't access that everywhere. And finally, as an investor, 15% is not a great return. We're looking for 100x, 1000x returns. So we also see that while this gives us an advantage, it's still limited by the fact we're just in that one city at one time. So what else can we do? Well, a very simple social strategy we can apply today is questioning. And research has shown out of Harvard Business Review that by asking just 1 or 2 follow-up questions when you meet someone, who you are bumping into someone that you know or you don't know, just spending that extra 30 seconds by following up and drilling in a little deeper with follow-up questions increases likability. And you can call this human prompt engineering in an AI age, but just simply like when someone says where they're from, you can say, what's that like? What's the startup scene like? How long have you moved there or lived there? Just those 2 or 3 follow-up help you learn a bit more about that person, but more importantly, increases likability. And as someone likes you more, they're more likely to trust you and they're more likely to help you. So 10 years from now, when you reach out to them, they might not remember anything you spoke about, but they'll remember probably the emotional sense they had from when they met you, which is great. So that's kind of relationship style questions when you bump into people. So that's in the moment. But then you go back to work and you're working on a task, and then you have specific work problem tasks, which is the bulk of your day. You're like, okay, where do I get this? A tax accountant? What do I think of this product? Does this customer have any budget? Would they be a good fit? Is this investor a great fit, and how could I meet that person? So these are the questions we have as knowledge workers all day, every day. A lot of these questions, like if we ask OpenAI or Google, we get the same generic answer. But if we can find a way to ask the right person or network, we get unique insight and information that's often not written down. But again, that challenge is, how do I know who to ask? How do I know that person I met 10 years ago in Tokyo is the perfect person to help me answer that question today? Again, It's socially powerful, but it's very hard to do in this age to understand who to ask the right question to. And that's something we're going to come back to in a minute and show you how technology can help there as well. And then finally, the third area after moving in and bumping into more people, asking better questions, is actually the human limitation on access. And access in terms of like our memory and our ability to process and keep track of all of these relationships. You know, we've all heard of probably Dunbar's number. It's this social evolutionary kind of cognitive ability of humans to keep track of about 150 relationships at any one time. We didn't need to manage networks of scale in multiple cities as we evolved. We were typically just in one village, one tribe, and one local area. But now we are seeing at Bridge, we're seeing consistently that people in professional services have almost 4,000 contacts in their address books, about 3,700 to be more precise. And that's about 20, 25 times more than actually what Dunbar's number was there for. And also research shows we do business at the edge of our network, not with the people we know too well. It's like our friends' friends. So just to give you a sense of scale, if you just went to those 150 people, they all know 3,700. That's 500,000 connections. If you went to all 3,700 and all the 3,700 they know, that's about 13 million connections. So you can see this Metcalfe's law, which is showing the actual kind of more network effects impact of your network. And that basically says as the connections in your network go up, it goes up, the value of your network increases by the square of the number of connections in your network. So actually your networks are becoming hugely more valuable in this digital age. People are connecting all over the world and they're building these connections, but the human brain can't remember that. So we need to have technology that can help us see this, organize this, and access this. And that's something just the human has not evolved to do. And that's something, again, when we look at technology, we look at bringing these three strands together of move, of question, and access. This is where Bridge comes in, leveraging how the world works today. We're not trying to change that, we're trying to amplify that for the digital age. And how we look at the internet is that it's actually one big city. It's where we actually all go to work. So if I'm in London or Berlin or New York, or I'm in some village in Venezuela, I'm logging on to the internet. We're all effectively in that same internet city, if we look at that same analogy. And that city's 1,000 times bigger than any other city on earth. And the streets of these cities are basically paved with all these apps and all these websites that we go to, where we go to do work, to do research the whole time. So recognizing this, we're like, how can we leverage that, the social science around bumping into your network to help you see and access serendipitous opportunities in this internet city. So what we do at Bridge, you see here up in the top right, you see I've gone to Account Talent. It's an accounting website. I was looking earlier this year for a new tax accountant. This is a real example. I went to this website, I heard about it, went there, and I was like, okay, is this any good for me? It sounds good, it sounds like it's for service, but this is a big decision. If I get this wrong, I have the IRS, I have costs, I have time, I'm going to get all this wrong. And Bridge could show me that allowed me to see that 28 people have also been on this street, have also got connections at this website. So very quickly, Bridge allows me to see my network in this digital city, and then allowed me to click into that, and it organized all of my connections by how many people they knew at this website. So it shows me here now I have 6. I didn't when I first came here. I knew no one at this website. I now know 6. But Alexander Tang, it organized him, and Alex was number 1. It said Alex knew 20 people at this website. Alex is a German founder who lives in New York, who I met in Berlin about 7 years ago. Haven't seen him since, haven't really bumped into him since. Gives me a great opportunity to go reach out to Alex and ask him a question. I was able to very quickly ping him a question, and then in half an hour I was like, what do you think of Account Talent? He responds saying, great to hear from you, I'm a big fan, they charge us X, and I highly recommend them, and I can make an introduction. So within seconds I could see this, I could ping him, and within half an hour I had the answer. I had a great recommendation, I had a referral, and I had inside knowledge that was not written down anywhere by tapping into my network. So I was able to move to that digital city, bump into the right person at the right time, increase serendipity chances by 1,000x, and get information that helped me be more successful at work. There's thousands of examples of this happening every day on Bridge as people begin to share their networks in a peer-to-peer way, bump into each other, ask questions, share knowledge, and share networks. So this is an example of how technology like Bridge can help build upon the best practices of movement, of questions, and access in a very simple way that requires no change to your workflow. So that's an example of how you can tap into the rising value of human networks in this AI age. We believe in an AI age, we're going to have more time to invest in relationships that help us build out our networks. And as Sam Altman says, networks are the durable advantage in this AI age. Thank you very much. And thanks. If any questions or anything, go to Bridge today. You can join for free, try it, see who in your network's already there, and share and collaborate with the people you care about and want to collaborate with.